So tonight we're going to talk about 1 hour product creation. And so let's talk about the hour first and what we mean by the hour. Let's talk about the fact that, whatever you've done to generate cash flow in the make money online niche or the business opportunity niche makes you worth talking to. And so you have to kind of understand that part of it. So whatever you've done, that whether it is you generated an affiliate commission, you have sold a service, you have sold a product, you have gotten a client, that makes you worth talking to, because that puts you in the minority of people online who are trying to generate an income. And you really do have to get that. And it's something that at the very beginning you want to understand is, if you've done something and someone has paid you and put money in your PayPal account as a result of something you said or you did, you are worth talking to, and that could be the basis of your product. Now, we're going to talk about more than that, but it certainly could be, and you really do have to believe that. You want to start with a method that you can follow from start to finish. Now, I'm going to tell you how to find that method here, but if you start thinking about something that you have purchased, maybe it's an information product, maybe it is something that you have been working on for a long time, you want to start with something that you're going to create a product on, even if it's something that you bought from someone and all you did was follow the method, right? Start with that in terms of your product creation. I'm going to get into why that matters and why you want to do that in this way, and that you don't want to copy what somebody else has done, because basically the thing that's going to separate you from other people who have created products is that you're going to be getting a result. In other words, you're going to follow a method. You want to follow a method or pick an experience where you got a result. And whatever result you're getting, if somebody is paying you online, someone has paid you online, you have earned something online, you had a check sent to you, you need to document that process. So basically, your product creation always revolves around real life experience documented. Now, you might say, well, I haven't earned a dime online. Maybe that is true. You probably earned one then in the real world some way. You probably found some kind of way that you were able to get paid, whether or not you sold something on eBay, maybe you sold something on Amazon, maybe you were paid through your full-time work. Whatever you did, whatever real-life experience that you can document, you start with that experience to create a product in 1 hour. And everybody on this call has one of those. It doesn't have to be that you sold a product on JVZoo. That does not necessarily have to be. It doesn't have to be that you sold a product or you made the affiliate commission on ClickBank. There are more opportunities outside of those things for you to be able to produce a product than there are within those things. So you don't have to feel like, well, I haven't sold anything on ClickBank yet. I don't know if I could get up and I could talk to somebody about what they should do. Well, certainly you just don't have to talk about that one thing. So document some kind of real life experience. Now, if you're with me so far, please put the number 1 in the question box. Okay, so the how. What's the how? So how are we going to deliver this? How are we going to create the product? What are we going to do? We're going to do this by webinar. And I don't really care how good or bad you think you are in a webinar. You are better than you think. And you're going to give the best possible experience to the people if you do a webinar, and you're going to get done with the product. Because if you sit down and you try to do 20 videos, I can almost guarantee you will not finish the product, especially if you haven't created one before. I'm going to suggest whether or not you do it live or whether or not you do it recorded, get yourself a webinar system, if nothing but for 30 days where you can get the free trial. And if you're thinking, well, GoToWebinar doesn't have a free trial anymore, get one that does. Right? Do a webinar that you can record. So the how you're going to create the product is going to be webinars. In other words, just as I am doing with you right now. So all I'm doing is you see the outline. Now, the outline took a lot of thought. The outline took a lot of construction. The outline took me having these experiences. The outline took me being able to put it all together. But being able to deliver it on webinar is the most efficient way to be able to do this. If I sat down and I tried to create 20 videos as a result of this presentation, I'd never get done. And so what you want to do is you want to put your best, whether or not it's 10 slides or your best 15 slides, your best 10 ideas, and put them into webinar format and deliver the webinar. The other thing is where you're going to launch this. if you're talking about the business opportunity or the make money online niche, we have talked about this on this call before. Basically, you don't have a network, you're going to launch on Warrior Plus. If you already have an affiliate network, you got affiliates to promote for you, then you can launch on JD Zu or Zaxa because they're not going to show your offer in the marketplace. If you start on Warrior Plus and your offer is approved, it's going to be shown in the marketplace. And so that's why Warrior Plus is going to be a good place to start because you're going to get some eyeballs on your offer just by having it available. Doesn't mean you're going to make all the sales in the world, but it does mean that somebody's going to see that offer and put their eyes on it. Right? We've talked about that before. Please put the number 2 in the question box if you get that. So who's the who? So the who, the affiliates, right? Who's going to be your affiliate? Well, the people you purchase from. In other words, anytime you purchase from somebody, you have their support address. That means then you have their ear. So in other words, you're going to write them back and you're going to tell them about something that you have here. Now I want to tell you about this relationship here in a second. Now, the best person to pick is a person whose product you've already purchased, a person who you're already their affiliate, and you've used their method to generate cash, right? If you can put those 3 things together, that's the best combination to have. Now, you don't have to have them all, but if you have them, you're going to be able to create a product fairly quickly because it's going to be based on something that you did. It wasn't even have to be your method. In other words, you don't have to conceive of the method. You just have to follow it through. And everybody tweaks a method to some way to their own advantage. Everybody tweaks something so it works for them. And basically, when you start retelling your story, you're going to tell it in your own words. You're going to tell it along with the permission of the person who created the method, right? In other words, you want to make sure you contact that person. You're going to contact that person about being your affiliate. In other words, so when are you going to do this? Well, once you've had the experience and it's documented, right? So in other words, if you took a method that you bought an information product, let's say you paid $7, you followed it all the way through and you generated 2 affiliate commissions, it's probably then it's probably time to then start documenting the process so that you can create a product from it, right? Now, the last thing we're just going to say about this is that you want to get the product creator to endorse or promote. So in other words, they're going to write that person. You're going to tell them, hey, you know what? I just want to thank you so much. And in one of the conferences, I think his name is Tim Castleman, he suggested that you do a video testimonial of the individual because it's easier for that person to remember you. In fact, it's impossible to forget you if you do a video testimonial of the person and their method, and you say, hey, it's because of let's say the Sterling method that I was able to generate my first commission online, $15, $20. And basically you're going to that person and say, hey, you know what? I just wanted to let you know, hey, I generated my first affiliate commission and it was all the result of your method. Like, you want to get that person to endorse what you're doing. You want to say, hey, and so as a result of that, I'm actually going to be talking about my experience in a case study, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to promote this for me or put it on your download page or something like that. Right? Again, you lose nothing by doing this. I know that when I say that to you, here's what I know. I know that part probably does not feel comfortable to you. Right? That part probably feels a little more forward than you might want to be. In other words, you're going back to the person that created the product, and you're going to ask them to promote for you. And yeah, undoubtedly, they probably do have lots of people that bought the product from them. They probably do have lots of people asking them to promote. They don't have lots of people doing video testimonials of them, though. They don't have lots of people whose endorsement will lead to them making more sales. And so what you have to do is, more than likely, I mean, you are going to have times you're going to get turned down. But if you are actually asking the person with whom you got results, you have the video testimonial, guess what you've done? You have moved the odds to your favor, right? That's all you want to do in this situation. So that's the hour. So let's talk about why we want to create products. We want to create products because, it adds credibility. Maybe you have a book, or how many of you have a blog here? How many of you all have a blog, or you have a video channel or a web show of some kind? If that's you, please put the number 3 in the question box, right? So that product, what the product does is add credibility, right? It adds credibility. It means that, hey, you know what? This is a business. I don't do this for free. So in other words, read all the stuff on my site, get my free opt-in. But when you put a product together, it basically says to people, hey, I'm in this for business. I'm not in this as a hobby. what the products do is they capture your experience and they monetize it, right? More than likely, most of us have had a lot of experiences we didn't get paid for. That's one of the beauties now of the information marketing or the information age, is that we all have information. If you've been around this earth for a little while, you have more information than you don't have, and you can monetize that information by making it available to everybody. So basically, a product captures your experience and monetizes it. The product becomes your capital. If you want to know what currency you have in internet marketing, if you want to know why somebody would do business with you, you know what you want to lead with? You don't want to lead with the fact that, hey, I know how to do all this really wonderful stuff. You don't want to lead with the fact that you're really cool and you're good to get along with and you're a nice person, you're a nice gal, you're a nice guy. That's only partially important, but it's only important after you have some currency, you have some capital. You have capital if you've created a product. When you create a product, you have skin in the game and you've totally changed your perception, and you're almost asking for people to do business with you. Now, guess what? When you have a product, that product can be used as an incentive to get other people to buy affiliate products, of course, right? You can use that product as your own. You can use it as an incentive to get people to opt into your list. All of your opt-ins should be worthy of purchase, right? So if you have a product you created, didn't sell, well, that's cool. It probably was ready to be purchased. You can then start using it as an opt-in. Any product you create, any product, large or small, should be used to build your list, and it should be used to build your relationship. So in other words, I have this product and I come to you and I say, hey, you know what? I've got something and I've done all the videos to it. Can you put together some articles and then we'll sell this together? Right? In other words, it gives you something to talk about. It gives you common ground. It gives you the ability then to work with someone in order to put something together. Now, what form do the products take? You can put together a cheat sheet, right? You don't have to put one together, but that's something cool to put together. You can put together a mind map. You can put together videos, right? That's what I like to do. You can put together audios. You don't have to put together videos. There's a gentleman named Sean Mize. I know a number of you have heard of Sean. And all Sean does is audio, right? All Sean does is audio. So it's possible that you can put together an audio product. You can do an ebook or audio book. You can do live teaching online the way that I'm doing right now. And again, that to me is the most viable. And that's probably because I'm biased to it. But again, I think you're better than on a webinar and teaching online than you think you are. Really, really very cool and sets you apart from everybody is live teaching offline. When you get up in front of a group of people, you have to know what you're talking about, right? When somebody takes a video of you talking in front of a live audience, you know what it does? It gives you instant credibility. Why? Because you're not going to get up in front of anybody. You're not going to talk about stuff you don't know, right? So guess what? You start showing pictures where you're in front of a live audience, and I would encourage you, that if you're going to share anything on social media, share some of that stuff. Products take the form of physical products, and that's a really, really, really underutilized way of being able to create products. So what products do best for people? And we have talked about this before. The best product you can release is going to be one where you're solving a specific problem, not a general problem, right? So it's got to be specific. It helps people to face themselves. Right? So in other words, if you have a product that forces me to face the fact that, let's say, I don't like to sell, or forces me to face the problem that I don't necessarily want to be talkative at events, that forces me to face the problem that, any particular way that I am, any deficiency I am, if you have a product and it forces me to face myself, that's going to help me to buy your product, because everybody knows what flaws they have. Everybody knows what where they have a gap in who they are. And if you're going to help them face that, that's going to make your product sellable. Anything that helps people overcome obstacles, right? Anything, right? So somebody doesn't have the ability to, let's say, present, and you're going to give them a tool to get on webinars so that all they have to do is they've got to read a script and it's going to sound like they're delivering it naturally. Right? It helps people overcome the obstacles that they have. And the people that have that obstacle, they will then go buy from you. It helps people to achieve success, right? It helps people to rid themselves of certain areas of pain. And that's probably going to be the most important thing. If you can get somebody to rid themselves of a certain area of pain. And it helps people to connect with other people, right? Helps people to connect with other people. And it helps people to escape negativity, right? So any kind of negativity, we don't necessarily want that in our life. And we'll do anything to get out of it. We'll do anything to run from it. We'll do anything to walk away from it. And you can help people to do that. Then, and you got a product that will do that, then people will want your product. And then it helps people, anything that helps people to revive learning in their lives. So what do I mean by that? Now, in general, people like things they can use more than people like to learn things, right? That's generally true. So in other words, you're going to give me something I can use or I perceive I can use over something I'm going to learn. Generally, I'm going to sell the first one probably a little better than the second one. However, right, anything will help me to learn something, to help me to overcome an obstacle, I'm probably going to be into it, and so will you be also. Right? So your product helps me to want to learn more, it helps me to dig deeper. I'm going to buy more of your products. Right now, what's a webinar? We've been talking about webinars, right? What are we talking about? Well, when I'm talking about a webinar, I'm talking about doesn't have to be, but it's going to be about 1 hour of content. It's typically going to be an overview, right? Now, what I'm giving you tonight is probably going to be more than an overview, but in general, when you start talking about a webinar, it's generally an overview. It's big on concepts and low on details. So in other words, you want people to buy the details. When you do a webinar, you want people to go deeper with you. And it's designed to reveal the needs that people have. Now, again, it's not necessarily meant to teach, right? This is a session that we're actually teaching you. But typically, when you get people on a webinar, what you're trying to do is you're trying to reveal to people the need and deficiency they have. I want you to write that down if you don't have it written down. It is the most important thing, and it will help you to create webinars when maybe you don't think that you're good at creating webinars. When you start thinking about, hey, what do I need to show this person that they have as a problem that they don't even know they have? Does that make sense? I think it was Eben Pagan that says that Eben Pagan was quoting someone else when he said this, that if you can get people to associate you with the problem, right? So in other words, you explain their problem so well, they will associate you with the solution, right? So if you can explain somebody's problem to them in a dynamic way, they will associate you with being the one that can bring them the solution. Does that make sense? So if you get what I just said, please put the number 4 in the question box. If you get what I just said. A webinar is a reveal of what people are concerned about, right? It's a reveal. In other words, when they come to a webinar, right, especially one where you're going to be pitching people, it reveals what they're interested in. It reveals what they're concerned about. A webinar is a reveal on where people are stuck. In other words, people go to webinars sometime because they're bored. Yes, I get that. But most people go to a webinar that has a specific title because they are stuck in some way. Right now, a webinar is also a reveal on what people are willing to fix with information products. In other words, when they come to your webinar, that means that they are open to learn electronically. It means that they are open to it when they show up at your webinar. So guess what that means? That means then that you can create an information product and you can pass it on to that individual, right? So if you get that, right, hopefully you get that part of it. And a webinar is really actually 3 or 4 products in a box, right? It's 3 to 4 products in a box. If you do a 1 hour webinar, or if you do an hour and a half webinar, you probably got enough for 3 or 4 products in one area, right? So you've got your PowerPoint slides, you have your video, you have your audio, and then you have your exercise. It's really 3 to 4 products. Right now, what to do with your webinar content? So you have delivered the webinar. Right, so we have come to the subject and we have done the webinar now. So now what? What do we do now that we have done the webinar? Well, if you have rights to the webinar content, you get the slides, right? So now, so here's what I mean by that. When we start talking about webinar content, I want to turn the corner here. And here's the 1 hour part that I want you to think about. How many of you on this call, apart from those that you have been teaching on, have attended a webinar where you listen to a pitch at least once or twice during the month, during this current month, right? So how many of you have been to a pitch webinar during this current month? So if you have, please put the letter Y in the question box, right? So if you've at least been to one pitch webinar, right, where you know you're getting pitched, right? So here's what you want to do, right? When you start thinking about this, when you go to a webinar, generally, the person is going to deliver good content because they want you to buy something, right? They're going to deliver good webinar content because they want you to buy something. They're going to spend about the first 30 to 40 minutes giving you probably what's going to be their best insight on how to approach a method. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to take that webinar, right? You're going to take the webinar and you are going to productize it based on being on the webinar. And again, I'm not talking about copyright. We're going to get to that here in a minute. That's where I'm talking about using that webinar in order to build out your experience. Now, guess what? Now, if you have rights to the webinar content, get the slides from the individual. The easiest thing you're going to do is going to be to break that webinar into 12 pieces and to do one video per piece. So in other words, you're going to get the slide presentation. You're going to break the webinar down. If you don't get the slide presentation, sit down and create it based on the webinar, right? So get the non-pitch part of the webinar, sit down and create the content. Now, in most cases, what you're going to do is you're going to be creating this based on what you're going to do. You're going to be creating this based on your experience. You're going to be creating based on the steps that you are going to take. And you can also take the most perplexing problem that you see marketers that are having. You can base the content there. Another way that you can take that webinar content is you can find interviews, experts to interview on each subject in a slide, right? And one of the things I suggest you use is Amazon Unlimited to find some of the authors because they are really looking to be promoted. They're looking to get their name out there. They're looking for some name recognition. So you want to find experts to interview on the subject that you're going to be talking about. Look to Amazon Unlimited to try to find those individuals. And of course, yes, you're going to research the topic on Google, Amazon Unlimited, Udemy, and PLR, and you're going to develop your own concept from the research. Now, this is where you're going to take the webinar content, because what does the webinar content do? It identifies the fact that there is a problem. It identifies that there are individuals who have come because they want to solve a problem. What you are going to do is you're going to take that concept and you're going to create a brand new product. In other words, where do you get product ideas? Where do you want to get product ideas? Here's what I want you to kind of focus on. And really, you don't even have to, sometimes you don't even have to attend the webinar. Start looking at the titles of webinars as they come across your newsfeed, as they come across your LinkedIn stream, as they come across your email. Look to see those webinars where people are really in attendance. What does that reveal to you? That reveals to you that people are going to these webinars because they're looking to solve a problem or to accomplish a goal, and this webinar is meant to address that situation. They're going to pitch them something, but what are you going to do? You're going to take the concept, you're going to do more research, and you're going to build your own product from the concept. Does that make sense? So if you get that, please put the number 5 in the question box. In other words, all you're doing with the webinar content is you were not using their content to create a product. You were using it to identify the problem. You are going to do the research as to the solution. Either you are going to build out your own solution or you're going to find experts who can teach on the subject. But basically, in some cases, I'm going to say you don't even have to attend the webinar. The webinar is an indication that there are individuals that want to solve this problem, and they're willing to go to a webinar in order to do that. Outline your answer onto slides and do one step per slide. Test out your concepts. So in other words, test out your concepts in your emails. Test it out on your blog. Test it out by contacting some people in your community directly. Test it out by getting your own results. And this is really what's important. It kind of goes back to what I said before. How are you going to test out the concept? You're going to test out the concept by going to get your own result. Record the results of your test subjects and yourself. Does the concept work for you repeatedly when you add in your tweaks? Right? When you add in the way you're going to do it, does your concept work repeatedly? What are the caveats to your theory or to your concept? And what are the variations to your concept? Now, once you get that, there are a couple of ways to go. First, when you get a result over and over again, you want to stop your research and create the product, right? Teach what you're doing right now. So in other words, you're getting a result. You've taken the method, you've identified the problem, you found the solution, and you're now getting a result. Stop researching at that point, and then look to create the product. Right? Just teach exactly what you're doing to get the result. Use the product snowball method along with the other product structure previously taught previously taught, info, then do it done for you, then continuity, then coaching. Now let me break that down to you for a second. So in other words, when I say info, then DFY, then continuity, then coaching, I am talking about your funnel. Right? Does everybody understand that? I am talking about your funnel. So in other words, on your front-end product, you are going to sell a solution to a problem. Right? It's going to be your unique solution, which you identified through webinar titles, which you identified by looking to see what people are trying to solve, which you have figured out how to solve through your own experience or through expert interviews. Right? You have created an information product. Then the next or the upsell is going to be a done-for-you solution to that problem. You are going to give people templates. You are going to give people a head start. You are going to give people something so that everything that you taught to them in the information product, you're now going to give them a fast start because you're going to basically templatize and give them something that they don't have to think about how to do it. You're going to give them the exact walkthrough steps that all they got to do is paint by numbers. Right? Does that make sense? Then the next part of your funnel should be your continuity. In other words, you should have something. You should have, and again, I'm going to go ahead and talk numbers here because I think that would be helpful. I don't think your third upsell should really be less than $97. I don't care what you're selling, right? And because all that says is that what you're going to do is you're going to offer either a monthly plan or a deal on that monthly plan at $97. And even if I were to pay you $10 a month for 12 months, if you were to cut me a break and give me a one-time fee, you could do it for $97. Right? So continuity. So in other words, you can make the offer so that people can get either $97 per year or $9.99 a month. Right? Continuity. So again, info product, done for you, then some kind of continuity. Now, why do you use continuity in the third step? What's the logic behind continuity? The logic behind continuity is, number one, I've given you the solution, right? That's the info product. I've helped you to get results faster. That's DFY. Continuity, here's the logic now. The logic is that what I am trying to do in continuity is I am trying to help you to maintain those results. Right? Maintain. How do you maintain the results? You are saying to the person at this point in the funnel, now that you have these results, now that you're going to get a fast start, don't you want to make sure you're going to keep getting those results? How do you do that? Well, you need to stay with me month by month. Now, if you get that, put the number 6 in the question box. If you understand the logic of the continuity, you need to have this here in your funnel. Right? If you don't put this here in your funnel, what will happen to you is people will come and sometimes they'll buy the front end, sometimes they'll buy the back end, and then your funnel will still break down. In order for you to have a profitable funnel, you need to have some kind of continuity. And then the next step of the chain is going to be your higher price coaching. So in other words, by this time, either I have your trust or I don't. What you're going to offer somebody is you to walk them step by step, take them by the hand in some way, and lead them through the steps. This is going to be your personal time. It's going to cost them a little more to get the coaching, right? So when you start talking about putting together this information product, your progression should look something like this, right? Something like this. Now, let's say that you're not able to teach something where you're able to get the result. Right? You're going to teach the research, right? And create private label rights products, right? So in other words, you can't get anybody to buy your result. So teach the research and give people private label rights. Okay. Now again, that's a subtle thing, but you need to have gone through the process already in order before you get to this point where that's going to work. So if you get to the end and it seems like, okay, you have placed your info product out there, doesn't get the response you thought it was going to get, that's not the end of the story. What you're going to do then is you're going to then teach the research to it, and then you're going to give people private label rights. One When you start talking about PLR inside of a niche, you can give people the current, most up-to-date solution. And basically what you're doing is you're being a reporter. If you're going to do internet marketing PLR, you're going to give people current, up-to-date solution on what's working right now.